Hello, Salamet Sizbek. Здравствуйте. It is our pleasure to welcome you to this exclusive virtual series, So You Want to Be on Broadway. This virtual series will provide you with insight, tips, and advice from singer, arts advocate, and entrepreneur Kарлы Diрликов Каналес, who is best known for her role as Bize's Carmen, which she played to international acclaim in more than 100 shows in 12 countries. Carla has performed as a soloist at Lincoln-centre, the Kennedy-centre, Carnegie-Hall, and other top international venues in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Ms. Canales will provide insight into auditioning and choosing a repertoire, as well as strengthening and maintaining your voice. Following the virtual video series, participants will be able to join us for a live question and answer session with Mrs. Canales on October 8th at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 7 p.m. here in Kazakhstan. We welcome any high school and university drama students, actors, singers, performers, or anyone with an interest in or talent for theater to join us. We also invite our prestigious 2020 Flex finalists to join us for this series, to provide them with a taste of theater and Broadway, which is a uniquely American form of art that has gained popularity worldwide. We would like to thank the State Department's Bureau of Cultural and Educational Affairs and Arts Envoys for their support. And of course, we'd like to thank Mrs. Canales for taking the time to provide such great insight and advice. We hope that you find these videos informative and entertaining, and we look forward to your questions during the live Q&A session. Now, enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, I'm Karla Diрликов Каналес, and I'm a professional singer, and I want to share with you today some tips for auditions. I understand that some of you may be interested in auditioning, particularly for the Broadway world, and I think that's really fantastic, but I know for me when I started auditioning, I had no idea what to expect. And these 10 tips have really helped me, so I'm happy to share them today with you. Tip number 1, always sing repertoire that you know very well. If you are struggling with the memorization of your words, or you're not really sure when to come in, how many beats before your entrance, or perhaps you're thinking about some of the rhythm, then you're not ready. But if you know the piece inside and out, you have recited it many times, maybe you've tried it out for some friends or your teachers, and you really feel that you know it 100%, then that is a great piece to think about using for an audition. My second piece of advice, as you prepare for auditions, and this also goes for performances, always practice in front of a mirror. We're living in an era now where many auditions are even filmed on video, and it's really important that you are able to watch yourself and see how you perform. And I think practicing in front of a mirror or even videoing your tryouts and some of your practice sessions will give you a chance to actually see yourself and think about what you might want to do differently in an audition setting or a performance. Third piece of advice, and this one is really important, really important. Never sing when you're sick. There are times as singers that we might feel a little sick, or there might be some allergies and we're not really sure, it could go okay, but maybe not. If there's any doubt and you're not feeling 100%, do not do the audition. It's always better to wait until you can make a really first-rate impression. Now, if it's a performance situation, then it could be a little bit differently, and I'll talk in a different video about some tips if you're feeling a little bit under the weather on how to get your voice in shape so that you might, if the condition is right, be able to manage a performance. But if you're thinking about doing an audition and you're sick, I would advise you to wait until the next time. Most people will reschedule auditions. The fourth tip, if you cannot recite all of your text from memory, if you're still struggling with some of the words, and a lot of musical theater repertoire is based on really quick pronunciation of English, then wait to perform that piece, or wait to utilize that piece in an audition. It's just critical that you can speak the words the same way that any actor could speak their lines. So I recommend actually to just take a piece of paper and write your words and keep writing them from memory until you can really do that by heart, and then speak them and practice them over and over again without any music. Okay, next tip. When you can, try to work with one pianist throughout, because the more that you can familiarize yourself with one pianist and they can familiarize themselves with you, the better that you will do in your auditions and your performances. So much of what we do as singers is really tied to this partnership between the singer and the pianist. And I think it's really important to invest some time into finding who might be the right pianist for you, who has a temperament, a personality that you get along with. And a pianist, of course, should be also able to give you some feedback. So who is a pianist that you trust, that you feel you can open yourself to work with in that way? So that's also a very important point. I would say that when you're preparing for your auditions or performances, especially now, you want to make sure that you have materials that represent you well. So make sure that your photos or your website or your social media all reflect your personality. They're accurate in terms of what do you look like. If you've changed your hair color, or if you've dramatically changed your appearance in some way, you might want to consider getting new pictures and being able to share those so that people recognize you when you go to do your performance or your audition. And the same for your CV. Make sure that your materials are up to date, that they really honestly reflect your skills and talents well. And also make sure that you do list everything that you're able to do on that CV. We'll also talk a little bit more about some tips for your CV in another video. I would say another piece that goes with this is dress appropriately for your performances and for your auditions. Again, with the auditions, it's really important that on that first meeting, people get a sense of who you are and what you're like. So if it's not your nature to wear mini skirts, then probably you don't want to wear a mini skirt to the audition. But at the same time, if you're the kind of person who always wears sweatpants and sort of baggy t-shirts, well, you might want to put a little more effort into an audition so that you look professional and you look the part that you're auditioning for, and you really want to think of putting your best foot forward. So make sure your clothes fit well, they reflect you well. Again, check that in a mirror because sometimes we can't see all the way around. One more thing, and I think this is sort of a bigger point, but you really want to think about why. Why are you doing this audition or performance? I think it's critical that as you start to build your career, you go after parts in a systematic way that makes sense for your development. I know for me as a young singer, I started out doing smaller parts and then that built to bigger parts. Or understudies, sometimes covering another artist is a great way to learn a role really well and watch how a more senior level performer is confronting all of the challenges of that role. It's also a great way to make friends, to get to know a network of other colleagues, to sort of see how does this work in terms of rehearsals and schedule and what's required. In the musical theater world, as you know, you really have to be very healthy. You have to be able to sing and act and many times also dance in a way that's very physically demanding. So being sure to gauge how do you balance all that and stay healthy. It takes time, and it certainly takes time to know your own body. But getting to watch other actors and be around other people who are confronted with those same challenges is a real plus. So covering or doing understudy roles is important. As you start to look at that trajectory, I really want you to think about, well, why? Why do I want to do this role, or why does that role speak to me? Is it your personality? Is it your vocal range? Is it something about the acting or the dancing that speaks to you? So be able to identify all of those things before you go to do the audition. I think we're on number 8 now, and this is really important. Set specific goals for yourself when you do an audition or a performance. It may be that your goal for this particular audition is to try a new aria, or it may be that you really want to get into the finals for a role. But set a realistic goal for yourself that you will feel good about achieving no matter what the casting outcome is. And the same goes for performance. Maybe you've been struggling with a little measure or two that technically are challenging for you. So make sure you practice that in advance, but in a performance, maybe make that your goal, that you execute it in the way that you've practiced. There are many other examples, and I'm sure you can think of them, but really be specific and set 1 or 2 or maybe 3 goals for yourself before every audition and before every performance. So we're up to number 9 now. I really want you to think about the fact that the people on the other side of the audition panel or in your audience, they actually really want you to do well. So when you come out and you present yourself, if you sort of look down at the ground and clear your throat and maybe slouch a little bit, you know, even before you've sung, you maybe haven't given them the best impression of your confidence. But on the other hand, if you come out with really nice posture and a nice smile and you say, "Hello, I'm so excited to sing for you today," I think that sets the tone for a really, really wonderful song or musical theater selection that you'd like to share. And it gets the audience and the panel engaged. They want you to do well. They want to cast the part. The audience wants to applaud at the end. So share in that enthusiasm and invite them to be a part of your performance in that way. The final thing I want to say to you today is maybe the most challenging, but I want you to think about why. Why do you sing? Why do you act? Why are you pursuing this very, very difficult career? I'm sure you know the statistics. It's something like 3 out of 4 Broadway shows, unfortunately, don't go well at the box office. Financially, it's a very, very risky business. And of course, as actors, it's even riskier because there are so many who have hopes and dreams, just like I do, just like you do, of making it. And that, of course, is a very, very difficult thing. So what is your specific reason for wanting to do it? What is your burning desire? Was it seeing a performance when you were younger, or maybe you have a close family relative that introduced you to this, or maybe you just feel when you wake up in the morning that there's just nothing else that makes you as happy. But be very, very acutely aware of what that thing is that speaks to you, that ignites your passion and sets your heart on fire to be able to share your joy. And when you get in front of a group, in an audition, in a performance, anywhere, share that joy. Know what it is and share it with everybody. Because, as my final thought for the video, we often say, well, why should you succeed, or why Broadway, or why musical theater, or why music? But my response to that is actually, why not? Why not you? And why not Broadway? Why not musical theater? And why not music and the arts? We need these things. We need actors, we need singers, we need art, we need love, we need joy, we need to make the world a better place. And it's such a gift that you want to do this. Know your why and share it with the world. I can't wait to hear you. Thank you so much.